Hello and welcome to the Tumble Taker Tavern. I am Jim, aka Argent Wind, and we are here for a very special episode of DM&D. Joining us, we have a friend from the Taker here, fellow DM Gojiro. Want to introduce yourself here?
Yeah. Man just said it all. My name's Gojiro, Dave, in the mundane world, and I've been playing D&D all my life. So, which
Yep.
is about 40 years, give or take. So,
You liar.
Yep.
no, 40 years of playing Nans.
Okay.
40 years.
I didn't
yes.
play when I was a baby. It
Sure.
wasn't out then, or I would have.
So before we get started here and jump into our topic here, I did want to make a quick little shout out. We are another fellow Tumble Taker member runs a blog about tabletop role playing games with contributors, all different writers to contribute to various topics. The site is RPG Counterpoint, and you'll find the description and the link below, and you'll see a link to the site there. And so if you're looking for a lot of different topics, a lot of different articles about gaming, about running games, about playing in games. There's a lot of stuff on that thing there, so go check it out there. And if you're interested in writing, they're always looking for more writers as well. If you want to try your hand at submitting an article or two, they'd be happy to bring you in there as a writer and get your stuff on the site. So go check it out. But here today, we are talking a little bit about how to be a better player, and this topic is all Gojiro's fault.
As is
He
everything else.
as everything else, yes. You brought up the question here. I suggested a topic here for being better players and how to be a better player to make the experience better for your fellow players, for your DM, and everything else here. And so I'll let you kind of expand on that. What is your thoughts around being a better player initially?
Sure.
Overview.
So the question came from, as most of my inspiration does, from watching other DMs. Specifically, Brendan Lee Mulligan was talking with someone, maybe Matt Mercer, and he made the comment that when he's a player, he always tries to be the player at the table that moves the story forward. Because parties can get sort of mired in the planning. You can spend a whole hour of real world time talking about how are we going to open this door, or how are we going to sneak into this castle. And so he said he likes to be the player at the table that says, okay, that's a great plan, now let's do it, to kind of keep things moving forward. And it made me think, so that the question that I had in my mind was like, okay, what else as a player, what can I do to be more helpful to the GM? Because I think we forget sometimes that this is really like collaborative storytelling, where we're all supposed to be working together to tell a story. Like, if you like buy a pre-made adventure, it's really just the bones of the story, and then the players kind of fill in the meat, and give you a lot of space to sort of I hate to say collaborate again, since I just said it, but to work together to kind of tell a really rich story where everybody gets to feel like they're the hero, and they like you in your game, your Saturday game. I'm forgetting the name of it already. The
Daggerheart.
The Daggerheart game. I like the idea of the spotlight, of like people get the spotlight, and I try to do that. I try to give players a spotlight when I'm the DM. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean that's just kind of where
Yeah.
it came from, and then I started thinking about what I would do.
Yeah.
So that's where it originated.
Excellent. So, Nance, you want to jump in on that a little bit there? I mean, you've been running games here for a long time, a lot of different games, a lot of different people,
Hmm.
and I think both of us have been players in your games.
You
So,
I'm a
what are
have.
player
some
in two
things
of Nan's games right now.
exactly? So, and we've
Yeah.
been players in your games. So, um, yeah, the only one I haven't played for is with you.
Yeah,
So,
we got to
there,
fix
there,
that.
Dave. So, one of these days, yeah, yeah. Um, so,
Yeah.
what's some of the things you want from your players, or as a player that you really want to focus on? Yeah,
So sometimes when we're
go ahead.
when I'm DMing, right? Like I want the players to just do the thing, right? 'Cause they're right there. It's right in front of you. I'm not even going to make you roll for it. It's just right there. Go do it. And they're all sitting there talking about a door that is unlocked. It just has a weird carving on it because I
Yeah.
described it as a weird carving, and then my brain goes, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't describe the weird carving on
Yep.
the door because now we're going to spend 20 minutes staring at a door, and I want them to have that role play experience, but at the same time I'm like, the thing is right behind you. It's literally right
Mhm.
there. And I'm so close to just moving the thing from behind them to as soon as you enter the room, that's where it is. Because I don't want to spend another half hour, 45 minutes of them discussing why the fire in the fireplace is green. Just go in it, right?
Yep. Yep.
It sometimes,
Yeah, it is so easy. Yeah, it is so easy as a player to get sort of like you pick up on that cue. This means something. This is important.
mhm,
And so yeah, but yeah, it's a very common occurrence.
it
But go
is.
ahead. I interrupted you there.
No, you're good. I love the players, and I
Okay.
try to be that same player, right? Of like, oh, I froze. Am I still frozen? No. Okay, I'm good. Okay, there, I'm back. I got it.
No,
Okay.
it was.
Sorry.
I think
I
you're all good
moved.
now.
Yeah, I moved the laptop. That's my fault. Don't move the equipment.
Yeah,
So
Good.
I like to be that player that says, "Okay, so the party has decided to do something. Let's go do it." And but then I get backlash
Yeah.
from the same party and I'm like, "Hold on. We just agreed to do the thing. Why are we rethinking about the thing that we just agreed to go do?" Like I don't I'm thoroughly confused. And sometimes it's I can whisper the DM and say, "Hey, listen, I am a chaos gremlin and I will fully go full chaos goblin on you if I have to get
Mhm.
this party to move."
Oh yeah.
Right? But like
Hmm.
at the same time, I don't want to take the spotlight from people who are trying to play the role play part of it.
Sure.
But at,
It is
nine
one of
thirty,
those.
10 o'clock at
Yeah.
night, I just
Totally.
want to make it move. Right?
Exactly. Yes. Come on. Come on. Let's keep going. Um, it really is a big thing because I mean the idea of you want your players and to do something, to make a choice, to go forth with it, to engage with the story there, and sometimes to get bogged down in the debate and everything else of like, should we do this, should we not do this, and sometimes at the DM you kind of have to say, look, you hear something in the distance. Something is grinding behind that there. There's a fire like breaking out somewhere that you get to go. And so you almost have to kind of like shove them to get them going here. As a player, being a player who's willing to take that chaos goblin step of like, you know what? Screw it. I go and I open the door. What? Huh? Huh? Like I open the door. And so being that player that just like makes the choice, that makes the thing and pushes things forward there can be a really, really big help to both the DM and the rest of the party because we all get into that like, well, plan for this and what about that and what does this thing mean? And I don't know. It's really easy to get into that. So being the one to step up and just say, "Yep, I just do it. Yep, I shoot the guy. Yep, I open the door. Yep, I jump off the cliff."
Right?
It's a really big help to kind of push things along as a player. Yeah.
I also don't want to be
yeah,
that
and
player
that
that's oh sorry, go ahead, Dave. You're good.
that just kind of dovetails into like one of my things was like if the DM is dropping breadcrumbs, pick those up, please. Like,
Mhm.
and kind of
Yeah.
just to dovetail nicely into what Nance was just talking about. I ran a one shot not long ago. Nans was in it,
Mhm.
um, and it started out in a blizzard, and the players were on the road, and the trees were falling around them, and the wind was howling, and it was like really rough. And one of the players saw uh, a building up ahead, and they're like, "Well, that's suspicious. I'm not going to go in there." And I'm like, "You're in the middle of a storm. Go inside." And it was really just
Mhm.
the setup for the full adventure, which happened inside the inn. But they're like, "Oh, that's
But
suspicious." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but it's where you're
it
supposed to go."
it's fun. It as a one thing I found that really helps is getting like I was amazed as I ran a one shot at Lair BGCon playing Dread, and I said, "Look, you are playing characters in a horror movie. Do what characters in a horror movie does. There's a sound in the woods, go see what it is. If there's a creepy old house there, go check it out because that's what characters do in them settings there. Think about an adventure too. You're playing someone who's curious. You're playing someone who's an adventurer who's supposed to be uh um uh you're supposed to be the one kind of driving the story. So if you don't engage with it, you're not helping you or the DM move the story forward. So yeah, it's it it's sometimes hard for us. We get so attached to our characters and so like invested in them. We don't want them to hurt. We don't want them to get killed. We don't want bad things to happen or things to get lost.
Mhm.
But at the same time, nothing in a story is going to progress if you don't engage with it and move forward. Pick up those breadcrumbs, like kick down that door, whatever it needs to happen to bring things forward.
I I think the
So, yeah,
hardest
to be fair,
part.
the building was a giant mimic and therefore very suspicious. Yes. And I mean, playing a cautious character totally makes sense in some cases. But at the same time, you're an adventurer, especially if you're in a one shot. You're not attached to these characters. Just go forth and kill. Go
Mhm.
forth and
Yeah,
get killed.
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah,
I
it's
think
So,
it's hard. Like I try to balance. I don't want my campaign or an adventure or one shot, whatever, to feel like it's on rails, like they're being forced
mhm.
down a certain path. Um, but at the same time, when you do something like that, and then everybody's just like, "Well, we're just going to go deeper into the blizzard," and I'm like, "Why logically? Why would you do that?" um,
so.
Yeah.
I
Um,
I have a problem with. So it's not really a problem. I love you guys to death. You were my greatest peoples, Dave. By the way. Um, but like you, not you specific, Dave, but when we're playing as a
I'm feeling called
person,
out.
you are as a person, right? We know that that treasure box is definitely going to be a mimic, right? We know it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts to it. We know it's going to be a mimic. However, our characters do not. And we often forget that the scary thing we, the people, know is going to be there. We make our characters think that that's what it is, and we can't. And that's where I think a lot of I'm not going to do something happens because I, Diana, knows that that's going to be the thing I don't want to have to deal with. But the character player, the player itself, the person in the game, the little piece that you move on the dashboard doesn't know that information. You have to be able to separate
Yeah.
them. You have to.
One of my
yeah.
players is as a guy who is like steeped in the lore. Like he knows all the lore about D&D. He's really great to have in my game, and I love him to death. Um, and he's really good about being, uh, like, oh, I know what this monster is, but my character doesn't. So I'm gonna play it that way. Um,
Hmm.
that's the way to do it. That is absolutely the way to do it.
Nans, I'm really shocked. At some point in your game, the World of Dragons that I played in there, I really wanted you to throw up two enemies against me because you know what would have happened. That's a
Yeah.
shambling mound and a flesh golem.
Yeah.
Both of those things love lightning, and I wouldn't know. And I'm gonna blast that thing with a lightning bolt, and it's gonna get two times bigger. I'm like, I was like hoping it would come along, and it didn't. I was like, I would absolutely do that.
Oh,
But
I
yeah, we know, yeah, we know trolls hate
mm,
fire, but our
yeah,
characters might not. We
right.
know, yeah, so like think about that. Now, if it's reasonable, your character does because they're a smart academic type or a experienced adventurer type, of course, then, or you've run into them before in your past and your backstory, then sure, it makes sense. But don't assume you know everything about a monster the second you run in on it.
Hmm. Yeah, my
Yeah.
hardest one is the druids who come in who think they can have automatically just get a T-Rex. And I'm like, hold on, phrase. You didn't
Where did you see a
ask,
T Rex?
right? Like it's not in my world. So where are dinosaurs in place
Yeah.
in this? Like you could give me your backstory. The
Yeah.
problem is you didn't give me your backstory yet. If you verbally told me, I don't have it because it doesn't stay in my brain long enough for this. I mean, you can ask both of you, how many times did I have to ask you, is that in your backstory and go back to your backstory that you typed out to me to figure out what was going? I don't have the brain capacity for this. Like so it's just like druids. While you know the T Rex is powerful, it doesn't mean you get to have it just because you picked that class, right? Like, stop metagaming because
Yep.
that's
Yep.
essentially what it is. We hate calling that
So
word out because it's
that brings me
so
up to my
harsh.
it, the M word is a rough one, but it is something you have to keep in mind. As a player, recognize when you do it and try to rein it back in. We're all going to be guilty of it. You
Hmm.
know that's a mimic. You know it's a troll, so hit it with fire. Like we know these things, but at some point you have to step back and think, would my character know this? No, it wouldn't. So I'm just going to go charge for it. I'm going to go try to pick the lock on that chest and get eaten. I'm gonna throw lightning at the troll and wonder why it's regenerating. Um,
Hmm.
so the idea of as a player, especially an experienced player, recognizing where you're metagaming and kind of forcing yourself to get around it. Um, so, actually, you brought up a really good point here. My next question, topic of the question here, is backstories. How valuable are backstories to you as a DM, as a player? How willing are you to provide backstory? Because I can tell you right now, in Avarice, so Nans
Hmm.
and Bernie there in the chat, uh, what whose backstory of the party made the biggest impact on the campaign?
Oh, that's cheating. But like, at first I thought it was Bernie's, and then all of a sudden we moved over to
Hmm.
Chakal, and then it was me. So like,
Yep.
you made it like
And
you
you're
give me your
and
backstory and the spotlight is yours. This is your thing. And the other people get to enjoy your world that you created for your character.
now I will say both of you had amazing impacts on the story here. But the person, the element of someone's backstory to be the biggest impact on Avarice was Lucas. He gave me the black book, and that was the void. So the entire Act Two, where you're fighting against a thing that was corrupting Drakal, that came from Lucas's backstory. The coins and how the coins worked in Act One, that came from Lucas's backstory because I'm like, hey, that black book that forms connections and makes things and binds things. Okay, that's how the coins were made, and so you got to see that in Act One, and then the whole Shattered Soul phenomenon became there you go. Do 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 do. Um, uh, that those coins were such an integral part of what created Shattered Souls in the first place, because the Trexiarch, the Pit Fiend in the Fiend coin, that had Soul Render, which shattered souls and created the whole Shattered Souls issues. So it like that black book just jumped into the whole story and wrapped the whole things around there. Obviously, everyone was important. Your backstory has made it a great. It was a huge piece there, but that one little element kickstarted so much in like even in the history of my world, like because that whole thing happened hundreds of years ago. So and yeah, that was the reason why. So
So
um,
I can
so what so
blame
what are
Rob.
some things that you've done as a player? Yeah, yeah.
No, if I could just follow up on that, I think backstories, that was one of the things on my list is like give your DM a backstory. It doesn't have to be a novel. It doesn't have to be well
Mm-mm.
written. Um, but give them something to go on, because I can tell you, I've had games where, two characters give me a really great backstory, and then I pick pieces out of it. It goes back to that whole, the campaign is just the bones of the story. The character backstories give you pieces to fill in and make connections, like you were doing with the black book and the coins. um and the cool thing is, like, if you're playing, D&D specifically gives you, like, the backstory is part of the character creation process, because you have to pick a background, you have to pick enemies and allies, and a lot of people, I think, gloss over that part. But that's
Yeah.
a really great way, like, if you just spend a few minutes thinking about, like, okay, well, I took the folk hero background. Okay, cool, you're a folk hero, you were, Robin Hood, or Wat Tyler, um, and you, like, did something that made the people in your community consider you a hero. What was it, and why did you leave? Like, you were a
Mm-hmm.
hero there, man. Why did you leave the crappy little town where you were a hero? Um, and that can, like, feed into, because as a DM, I'd be like, oh, so you were a folk hero, but you left. What was it that you did? Who'd you make mad? Is there a bounty hunter after you? Is there wanted posters going to be popping up in all the towns you visit? Are there assassins, coming to get you? Like, it
Mm-hmm.
can it can
Was it
really.
was it all a lie, and the real hero's gonna hunt you down because you stole his glory?
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I had a situation where two characters gave me really good backstories, and I was able to weave them into the game. And I said characters, I meant players. Two players didn't give me backstories for their characters, and I kind of feel like they don't get enough of the spotlight. So then I was trying to figure out, okay, so how am I gonna give them some of the spotlight? And it makes it a little difficult. Give your DM,
Yeah.
even if it's just a rudimentary backstory, or you just build on the things in the character creation process. It's really helpful. I find it really helpful. I think most DMs find it helpful.
Yeah. So Dow brought up a really good point here in the chat there. I wanted to call that out there because building a backstory and sticking to them. Backstories can also help define who your character is a little bit, kind of give their kind of motivations and kind of
Hmm.
give a little more of what their personality is. Obviously, you don't have to make your character set. This is my character; it'll never change because character character growth is about change. But at the same time, it does give you that little hook to grab onto as a player of like, hey, this sounds like what I had to go through, so I'm going to help this person. Or oh, this sounds like the guy that was kicking puppies in my town here. I'm going to go kick the crap out of him because I don't like people to do that. So again, having that backstory really gives you a little more to go on as a player as well, because you know your character a little bit more and what your motivations are, um, without having to just settle on what's what my character would do. Well, yeah, but you're more than just your backstory. You've grown beyond that to a certain point. So there's that whole piece there. Nanza,
That touches on
if you want
something. Sorry, go ahead,
yeah,
Nance.
it does. We'll come back to that in just a minute here because it is a big one. Yeah.
Nan's what now? What did I want?
We're so with the backstories that have been provided for you, what are
Hmm.
some of the ones that kind of like jumped out at you or that you created as a backstory for your character was a big deal? You've touched on a couple of them, but
Hmm.
yeah.
What's your
So
what's your hot take on backstories?
I absolutely 100% approve. Absolutely need them. When I first started DMing, I got like a 10-page report from somebody about their character, and I went, too long, didn't read. Make it shorter for me, because I didn't understand how important they could be. Now I do. Now I want the information. I want you to give me as
Yeah.
much as you can. If even if you think it's too much, I don't have to take your whole backstory. I can take bits and pieces of it and allow
Hmm.
you to envelop your backstory into the world by telling the players about your backstory. That's the part that I think a lot of players forget, right? So the DM introduces part of your backstory, but then you don't tell the players. anything about you at all. And that is where I break down because I can't figure out what to do then. Because, like, okay, here's a part of your backstory. Go do the thing with your backstory. Go chase those breadcrumbs that we just talked about. But the players, the other players, don't have a clue why they're doing it. The player, the one does, but didn't elaborate, didn't tell the rest of the troop what is going on or what they're doing and why they're doing it. It's just there, right? So it makes it
Yeah.
difficult, at least for me as a DM. Like, I want your backstory, but I also want you to kind of do like I did with Sora Jim, where I developed her
Hmm.
backstory and then you and I worked almost every week, every other week on
Sure.
on her specifically with, like, hey Jim,
Yeah.
this part of fighter is just not working with the party. Can I, because we have a
Hmm.
training ground, go back to the training grounds and just do the different part of fighting,
Yeah.
right? And
And
just switch it up.
you put you it's a great point there is that recognize that something about your character isn't quite fitting or isn't quite working, and then talking to the DM about how to make it better, how to develop it, how to make it grow or change it to something that does work. That's a huge part of it. And so, as a player, communicating with your DM when you're seeing something that isn't quite working is a huge thing for players to do. I want to call out what Bernie mentioned there, having a backstory. The DM can pick bits out of and weave parts into the main story because as a player, you become connected to the story so much more, connected to the world.
Hmm.
That's a huge part of being involved and invested in the game. So working with the DM saying, hey, I had this thing I kind of touched on in my backstory, but maybe it'll come up in the point here, but I wanted to throw this out here as something that you can use. Um, I I look at your campaign. I mean, how big of a deal that my twin brother played
Hmm.
uh in the back end of what was going on. Not always in the front end, but things were happening in the background because I gave you that thing.
Yeah, your brother was like, when you gave me him, I was like, oh, he's the bad guy. And I was like, no, I can't make him the bad guy. Bad
No,
guy Jason.
no, no.
No,
Yeah, he's kind of a foil. Yeah, no,
right.
it's yeah.
Your brother in the campaign for me literally started out as, I want him to be the bad guy. Like, because that brother
Mhm.
Abel and Cain conflict, right? That's what I was
Yeah,
looking for. And I
yeah,
went, no, because they're already chasing the black mage, which turned out to be somebody else. We have to we have to do
yeah,
something different with him. So I moved him
yeah.
into, like, he's now involved with another NPC that you guys were introduced to, which kept him close
Yep.
enough to you to keep an eye on you, but also was like, hey, by the way, I've already done the thing you've done, because he's from the future living in the past and, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly things. And
Oh God, that was time traveling games, man. It's like that. I'll say that is a hard thing to manage. I'm not sure. Like,
it wasn't too bad.
um,
I mean, there were some parts where you guys were like, wait, hold on, stop. Hard stop. The whole session's going to end
yeah,
right
but
now so that we can figure this out. Because it is, when you
like
do
what?
mess with time, it's like, when? If we fixed it, are we back at
Yeah,
our old time? Are we back at, you have to keep on it as a DM. But it did
yeah,
work out pretty good. I liked it. It was
yeah,
fun.
yeah. There were times I'm going, I don't know what the hell's happening here. But yeah, it did all work out, and so, but again, it's giving that gift to the DM. Backstories are a gift, and then that ongoing communication of continuing to develop it and add more to it is such a huge thing to make the campaign grow. Long running campaigns have a hard time keeping going if you don't have anyone that is really investing themselves into the story. So yeah, that's a big thing. Is as a player, get invested, make those choices, grab those breadcrumbs, throw out those story ideas, and be willing to change and grow. So yeah.
And I don't
What
think it's
else you
ever
got?
too late to create a backstory too. Like if
No.
you're in a game and you feel like your character's not getting enough of the spotlight and you didn't give a backstory, sit down, talk to you again, talk to the GM and come up with a backstory and and make it fit the world too. Like, don't be Huckleberry Finn from the Deep South if you're playing in Sword Coast, like that doesn't quite work. But
Or
you can adapt
or
that.
my artificer character is from the South, and so he's going to be drawing and talking about
Sure.
making his guns better and stuff. And so yeah,
Well,
it's yeah.
absolutely. Like accents can work. A deep Southern accent in a D&D fantasy world can work because hey, there are countries to the south and lands to the south that have different accents.
Or you have a very sort of Mediterranean Greek, Eastern European accent of some kind. I don't
As
Yeah.
know.
long as Dave isn't doing French, I think we'll be okay.
Only
Yeah.
me.
No, I know like half a dozen words in French, and I was busting them out in a one shot that Nans ran, and there was somebody there from was it Quebec,
Yeah,
Mhm.
something
and
like
they
that.
they
Yeah.
took a they took offense at some of my pronunciations. Not like not serious, but it was fun. So,
She
Yeah.
corrected you.
yeah.
It's Mondua. Oh, it was fun times.
Yeah. But I
I,
think another thing that you can do to be helpful is just, again, going back to like, remember that it's collaborative. Remember that we're all,
yeah.
we're the heroes of this story. You know, don't come in and, I mean, unless you talk to the DM first, don't play someone who's like working against the party secretly. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, that can be fun and it can work, but you know, I think you need buy-in for that to work. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just be
Yeah. It's
collaborative. Don't be like, well, I'm not going into the house that everybody else went into because that's not something my character would do. Well, you have to find a reason. Like maybe that's true. Maybe they wouldn't go into a house made out of bones, but you have to figure out a reason why they would. You can't just stop the story. That's not fun
yeah.
for anybody else at the table. So
Well, and see, one of the things I run into is I've been in situations as a player where you know what I've been getting a lot of the spotlight. I'm like, you guys go in. I'm gonna watch the door. I'm gonna watch the alleyway and make sure no guards come along here. I'll distract them if they show up there, and then it gives everyone else a chance to jump in and do things there that I'm not a part of. But I could run in and help them if I needed to. I can call out the alarm if something's happening. So the idea of like as a player giving space to your fellow teammates to engage and to gain the spotlight in a way. Um, so as a player, sometimes you kind of need to like you know what I could jump in and be and have this conversation, or I can just step back and say, hey, why don't you take care of this? Um,
I love
so
that.
that
Yeah.
can be a really powerful thing of sharing the story, sharing the spotlight, because it's really easy if you're like us who are very invested and very much like wanting to do things and wanting to push forward, but sometimes you got to step back and say, nope, somebody else needs this. This is their moment. I'm going to stand back and then I'll help if I need to, or I'll step in if there's a lull and something isn't happening. I'll help to kind of push it along. But as a player, recognizing that, give it a chance, give somebody else a chance. So I know a couple times I'm like I've had to as a player, whisper my DM or kind of like, you know what, I could jump in and do this, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna like
Mm-hmm.
um. So yeah, it's way there, and you like and I mentioned it, and you mentioned it again here. This whole it's what my character would do. Um, if you're relying on that as a player and you're using it as almost like a weapon or almost as a I'm going to screw with someone because it's what my character would do. I'm going to ruin the situation because it's what my character would do. That's where you might want to consider dialing that back or talking to your DM about it. If you're in a situation where you're going to be constantly sabotaging things because of what your character would do, talk to the DM and say, "Hey, I know I'm causing problems here. Is that okay? And here's why I'm doing it." like like but use that terminology with players, it's a real difficult thing. Uh just when you're relying on that, well, like, and you're actually saying that out loud, that's where you're justifying jerk actions uh, by saying it's a character thing. So as a
Yeah.
player, think about that before you make that choice.
And maybe don't exist to make the DM's life harder. Like I've known players who just want to mess with the DM. Like, oh, I know you want us to go down
Adversarial.
this this corridor, but we're not going to do it. I'm like, okay, well then I guess the session's over for tonight because everything that happens
Yeah.
down that corridor.
Yeah. So there's a couple things, and yeah, you're totally right on that there. Like, so they choose not to do that. Now, one thing I will say, as a DM, sometimes players aren't going to want to take the bait. It's too obviously
Oh,
a
wow.
trap.
Hmm.
It's too so. Don't forget to quote one of my favorite Rush song. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice because
Hmm.
something's going to happen if you
Hmm.
don't make the choice.
Yeah.
Because if you just stand there, the fire breaks out, the enemies show up, something's going to happen if you don't commit. And so, being aware of that as a player, like if I can choose not to go in there, but we're not going to get what we need, and I might get caught with my pants down because I'm just sitting over here waiting for something to happen. Well, something happens, it sure does. Boom. Um, so yeah. Um, and yeah, I think Bernie there in the chat there. We difficulty as a player. It is when someone else isn't engaging. You sometimes want to jump in and fill the space. And one tool I've been trying to use as a player is if someone's not engaging, I'll literally in character. What do you think we should do? What do you want to do? And like literally as them, like, what is your take on this? Asking them to get involved or say, hey, don't you have some skills to help with this situation here? Why don't you go take care of that? Um, and then and kind of nudge them, especially as you've been playing for a little while, you get to know what their characters can and can't do.
Hmm.
So like encourage someone else to jump in and take the spotlight there rather than taking it for yourself. Because yeah, it's like you may be the jack of all trades. I can do all this cool stuff, but they might be better at it. So give them their shot.
Yeah, I have a player like that. It was really good for that, and I think it's great. Um, you said something else that sparked a thought, and now I've lost it.
He
It'll come
lost the
back.
plot. He lost the plot, y'all.
I did.
Hmm.
That's what I'll often
Yeah.
do. Um,
I know that sometimes when we have players who, and we've had them in our games, Gojiro, where players have just been like, nope, that's not a thing I'm doing. And we're like, okay, that's cool. Now I, as a DM, have to pivot and make it work to get the story to move. Or, and I've done this in the past and I hate doing it, but there's nothing I can do about it because I don't want to bring that tension back to the game from the session before, where I'm just like, all right, this is where you are now. We just skipped over all of that stuff to get you where I need you to be. So now that we're dealing with a new set of situations, a new set of problems, and it is not like I'm trying to not fix the issue. It's more in game. I don't want to have to deal with it, and I shouldn't have to. So I'm just going to skip it, and we can talk about it outside of game as DMs and players, right? And I think that's
I
the
mean,
hardest part was when the DM has to go hard stop. Listen, we're not going to play anymore until we figure this out because now this has become a person to person thing instead of a it's an in game thing, right?
I mean, it goes back to being collaborative and picking up breadcrumbs.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
don't
I
stop
think
the
one of the biggest
story.
things. Oh yeah, I think one of the biggest things I always try to like the two biggest things I think for players is being present in all ways, like obviously being physically present or being digitally present,
Mhm.
basically making it the game on time, being there for the whole time and all of that. But then being present in the moment of like being engaged with the story, paying attention to what's happening. Yes, you can be looking at your phone or kind of doodling on a page or what else that, but you're at least aware of what's going on and ready to take action when it needs to be taken. So being present and participating. Like if you're not participating, what's the point of being there? So, um, it and you may have to wait for your turn, or you may be able to just interject and jump in and just say, "Hey, I have an idea," and like I want to try something.
Mhm.
Um, Especially from a player that doesn't always do that. I love it when that player who's normally kind of quiet says, "Couldn't we do this?" Or "What about I have a spell that does this?" Or "I have this thing from my inventory." I'm like, "Oh no." Um, and I love those moments of just like the quiet one steps up and just changes the course of what's happening. And so
Mhm.
I love doing that. Yeah.
I think that's one of my
that
favorite parts.
that yeah, you reminded me of what I was trying to think of earlier. And it's as part of that whole keeping things going is, if you're in combat, be thinking about what you're going to do on on your phase, right?
Yeah.
Because nothing, combat is supposed to be fast. It's like each round is 6 seconds. You're you know and I it just stops it takes all the tension out of a battle if you get to somebody's turn and they're like, okay, well, let me look at my spells. What does this spell do? It's like it takes him 10
Yeah.
minutes to decide what to do, and I'm like, you have 6 seconds. I've always wanted to put like a
Yeah.
shot clock on
Oh yeah.
combat, be like,
Mhm.
okay, you've got 6 seconds to tell me what you're going to do, or you've got 30 seconds to tell me what you're going to do, something like that.
I
um
I know that you guys have all heard about the crazy 12-player game that I did when I first running in here. Um, that I absolutely had a shot clock in the corner of going, you have 6 seconds. Everybody knows at the beginning of the round, figure out, I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes to figure out what you want to do, and then when it comes to your turn, you have 6 seconds to do it. And I put a shot clock up there. I don't know that the players could see it, but I could, right? And then it moved to the next person. Well, I missed my turn. Well, you had 5 whole minutes from 12 different
mhm.
players plus all the monsters to figure out what you were going to do.
Yeah. Now I will say, as a player, eh, like the thing I was gonna do, I can't do because you just killed the monster that I was trying to do. Or I was
Mhm.
gonna do this thing and they all scattered. And I can't do the
Yeah.
thing. I was like, I
Mhm.
was gonna throw a fireball. They were on a nice little cluster, and now they're all like 30 feet apart. I'm like, ah. So what else am I gonna do? So,
Yeah, there's always
as a
that.
player, think of
Mhm.
yeah. So there's always that. So they give like, and you may want to just say that it's like I'm freezing for a moment because what I was planning on doing, I can't do. So give me a minute, give me a second to kind of readjust here.
Mhm.
Because it might be the person right before you just did something that totally throws your whole plan out the window. And so now you try something else there. So it might be that, oh, you know what? That thing I was going to do, can't do it. I'm just going to break down and have some default ideas of like, oh, yeah, you know what? If all else fails, I do this. So that way, as a player, you can go, what's my go-to action if I don't have the optimal thing to do or the cool thing to do? What is it I can do that's going to say, oh yeah, you know, what, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then pass turn. It is such a huge thing. 'Cause you mentioned your 12-player game there. My first game with Bernie online, we played in a game that had like 9 or 10 players, and I kid you not, I went my action took 30 seconds because I knew what I was doing and I played there. I passed the turn and then waited for over an hour to get back to me.
Oy.
In a 3-hour session, I got to act like 4 times in a 3-hour session. That is unmanageable as a player to stay engaged and stay all that. So think about as a player, if you have something that's like, well, I have to make this roll and then do this and then this attack and then this attack there. If you're not doing it quick, don't take those kinds of actions. If you have to roll a dice 18 times and add them all up and everything else, find some ways to make it go quicker. Find some actions that aren't quite as involved because it's going to break everyone's brain to sit there and wait for your turn to take 45 minutes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
just know what you want to do.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you said, sure, you may decide I'm going to throw a fireball at the dragon or whatever, and then the barbarian runs up and is in hand-to-hand combat, and you're like, well, now I'm going to hit the barbarian. I mean,
Hit the
personally, I would hit the
barbarian.
barbarian. They can take it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, hit
but
the
yeah, like
barbarian.
in that case, sure, you have to think on your feet and change what you're planning, but try to have a plan anyway. Like
Yeah.
even if you have to change it, it's better than not having a plan and then you get to your turn and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, yeah, let me look at my spells. Yeah,
Mhm.
it really slows things down.
The
So
one I like to refer to the most, Jim, is when you met that Bodak and you turned the corner and you dropped, and the rest of the party
Yep.
went, "What happened?" It's like, "You don't know. He's around the corner." And they went, "But like we
Yep.
knew he was going to do a spell. You didn't see it happen."
Mhm.
So like the
Yep.
flashies of the
I,
spell did not happen.
yep. Nope.
And
And I was around the corner so no one could see what happened. Like, boop.
yep. And
Oh no.
Bodak, yeah, and Bodaks are one of those creatures that once they do what they're supposed to
Mhm.
do, they just disappear into the darkness. They don't
Mhm.
like to hang around.
Yep. Yep.
But I also knew that the amount
Yeah.
of I had 3 Bodaks on you guys. I also knew as a DM I couldn't continue to do that with a newish party. So, like,
Yeah. Yeah, we
I
were not high level either. So I was like, oh god.
no, nope,
I'm
you
like,
were
oh
not.
no.
It was one of those things that a player said something out of game about the game, and I was like, "Oh, okay.
Hmm.
It's not hard enough for you, is it? All right, fine." Bodak,
Yeah.
right? It just
Yep.
it's you have to remember, like in that situation, the character was going to do a spell, was going to do something fantastic.
Hmm.
He told the whole party what he was
Yeah.
about to do, and then gets in there and he just falls down dead. And the party immediately
Yep.
reacted to, "He's dead? You don't know that." He said it out
Yeah.
loud. And there's
Like
not
I.
a way that, like, even if we were doing this tabletop wise, there was not a way for me to say,
Mhm.
"Jim, you're technically doing death saves."
Yep.
Right? Like that's just
Yep.
not a thing that can happen. So like all the players are immediately going to react to the fact that their friend is now dead on the ground, even though they don't know that.
Mhm.
So the spells have
Yeah.
all
Yep.
changed.
Yeah.
And
Until like go up there, you check on them. Okay, they're still breathing, but they're struggling. They're on death's door. What else is that? And so, I mean, yeah, the idea like you watch someone drop, or you see like where what happened, and so you change your position to get line of sight on someone. And you find out
mhm,
they're on the ground. Like, oh no,
mhm,
that's and it's that reaction there, and it's also as a player too is like, and this came up with comments in here that went by here is the idea of you may have to you need to react to what's going on. You may not need to listen to every single dice roll and every single like, oh, I hit, I did this much damage, what's that? But at least know where people are and what's happening on the thing. If you're using a battle map, you can see where things are. You can see like who's engaging with what. And so
sometimes.
at least the idea of making a plan, it depends if there's fog of war, if there's line of sight issues, or what else that. And so
Mhm,
um, and it comes out of that metagaming thing too of like, oh hey, you went around the corner. I can't see you. So I'm going to maneuver where I can see you because now I want to keep eyes on my friend. So that's where, like, again, it's like, eh, and you go to move that spot, and they're not there, or they're on the ground. Like, what's happening? Okay. So again, but it does come down to being aware of what's going on there, taking your turn, journey, yeah, like being present, being engaged, participating, and getting into what's happening. So yeah, it's yeah. Um, what else? Oh boy, we're almost out of time here. This flew by. Oh my gosh, yeah. Um,
So
so
like,
yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
I know that I'm used being engaged and everything. That can be challenging at times, and especially now, like
Oh yeah,
most of my not most, all of my games are online now. You know,
yeah,
um, I remember when we used to sit around a table and you had a dry erase mat and you just drew lines, and now you've got these very colorful, realistic looking maps and tokens and
yep.
stuff. I mean, there's pluses and minuses to it, but one of the minuses is when you're on the computer, it's so easy to like, oh well, it's not my turn, and I know it's going to take, you know, probably another 5 minutes to get back to me. So I'm just gonna go check Facebook real quick, or I'm just gonna go,
Sure.
and then you miss what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just part of the society we live. I think
Yeah.
TV executives now, or I shouldn't even say TV, it's streaming executives now recognize like it's a 2-screen show. You've got the show on your TV, but you're also looking at your phone, and they're actually changing their shows to address that. And it's kind of the same thing with D&D. It's like, or TTRPGs. Like, if you're using a virtual tabletop, it's a screen, and you're going to have to remember that. So
I think we kind of have to kind of like be a little bit more vigilant to ourselves because
mhm,
I mean I'll hop on and scroll Instagram a little bit there, or I might
yeah,
pull up something and look at what is that thing that I'm looking at there. So the idea is that doing that is okay as long as you're like at least like dividing your attention as much as you can. If you're like the ones that, and this was mentioned earlier too in the comments there, like people that like go on and watch a YouTube video or watching a video or playing a video game even more so, like while the game like that's where I kind of draw the line. As a player, like at least a little distraction is fine. You don't, like I said, you don't need to pay attention to everything that's happening every second because
mhm,
as a character, you're focused on what's happening immediately to you. You're not going to have this full tactical view of the whole situation all the time there. So it kind of makes sense. I know what I'm engaged with. I know what the people close to me are engaged with. I can kind of watch that happen there. But then, uh, okay, well, I'll kind of glance away for a moment there, and then okay, my turn. Awesome. But yeah, when you like completely disengage entirely to do something else, that's where it's really a problem. So as a player, yeah, it's being present is
and like,
in
I don't know about
in
you
all ways.
guys, but for me, when that happens, I feel like, oh man, my story's boring. The session is boring. I suck as a GM. Why do I do this? It's like,
Yeah,
eh, when a player is
I will say
clearly
the
not
only
engaged,
yeah
it's like,
yeah
oh, okay, so you're bored, and I'm not holding your attention.
yeah the only time I've ever done that in a game is like during combat. like when it's a lot of things happening here, and then again, I'm not like full. I'm not like leaving to go watch a video game. We're not pulling up a book and reading a book on my on there while I'm doing this there. But like I will like glance at Instagram or whatever else that during
Sure.
combat or something because I know it's going to be a little bit before my turn comes around, but at least paying attention. Like, oh, I'm up next. Okay, what am I going to do here? What's happening? All right. So, as
Yeah,
much as
but it's
possible.
like,
But yeah, if it's a quick combat there, I mean, like with Daggerheart, those turns don't last long. Like it's quick. So you're really it's like you make your roll, you resolve it, you're on to the next person, and it's a quick
right.
thing.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really talking about like quick distractions like that happens. I
Mhm.
do it myself, but
Yeah.
um but like, if you're an hour into the game and you realize, oh, I haven't heard from this player in an entire
Yeah.
hour, like, did they
Yeah.
fall
What's going
asleep?
on?
Did they wander away? Are they sitting there bored? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, just be engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing I hate the most is
Okay.
when we're playing and then all of a sudden the player comes up and says, "Wait, what's going on? What happened? What happened to the dude that was right here in front of you? The dead one? The one with the big
Mm.
red X on his face?
Yeah.
That one?"
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the like, sorry, I had to run to the restroom. I had to go get a drink there. You don't always want to
Absolutely,
interrupt things
that's
saying like,
fine.
"Be right back," whatever else that, and so. But it's and just say like, "Hey, I was distracted for a moment there. What did I miss there? What happened?" And so, if you need a quick recap at the start of your turn there, just admit it and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, life happens. Like, I don't give anyone grief for things like that they can't control. It's
Yeah.
it's just try to be engaged. Like, I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
fine line, I guess.
I agree.
You can't we never know what's going on in each other's lives.
Yeah.
Your cat might have just fallen off of the top of the china cabinet, and you got to go over and make sure they're okay. I get that. I mean, they're okay.
Yeah.
Cats
Yeah.
land on their feet. We all know that, but Maybe your dog fell off the
Yeah.
top of the china cabinet. That's a whole different thing, you know. Maybe the china cabinet fell on the dog. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff happens, and you know,
Mm.
I'm not. I don't. I guess I guess when it's habitual is when it starts to, you know, if you're always asking that player like, hey, so I haven't heard from you. What do you want to do? Or hey, it's your turn. What do you want to do? And like, oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What's going on? You know, then
Mm.
it's like, okay, come on, man,
Yeah.
help me out.
So a couple things I want to bring up from the chat here, just to kind of bring that around there. As Bernie said, there sometimes taking notes or anything else. I mean, you don't need to write a novel, but at the same time, taking notes does help keep you focused and does help you like that down there. You don't need to play by play of the entire battle. Um, Jotting down some important events in a fight might be kind of cool to kind of like reference later on if you need to. Um, but at the same time, taking those notes really does help keep you focused on what's happening, and it keeps you paying attention at least. So that's
Yeah.
one way of doing it as a player there.
And shout out to
Um,
Bernie because she's always the note taker in our games. I don't know how she
yep,
does it.
yep,
She's like a court stenographer for the game. It's amazing, and I
yeah,
am eternally
yep,
grateful to her for doing that. So good
yep.
on you, mate.
And the second And then second, I know you do need to write a novel one of these days, so absolutely. As Dow mentioned here, yeah, if someone is not engaged, taking the time outside of the game there and talking with them, and as a player being willing to talk to them. And I had to talk to a DM at one point saying as a player, I'm like, you know what, I'm having a really hard time being engaged. My character's not useful in most situations. It's like I feel like I'm getting skipped or bypassed by everybody here. And so at least like making the DM and the player like communicating about that is going to really help out. Um, but yeah, if someone's showing up every session, you assume they like the game. They're there. You're part of it. You're watching. Um, and some people have different levels of engagement. I
Hmm.
mean, uh,
Yeah.
some players are going to be quieter than others, but when they do, but when it's their turn, they're participating. That's what we need to see. So yeah, it's really helpful um, to go about. But we are just about out of time here. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to throw out there to sort of like wrap this all up?
Uh, I don't know. I've said everything I came here to say.
Okay. Yep.
Except,
Um,
hey, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Anytime, Dave.
absolutely. We'll do this again. Yes. And yeah, we need to bring some more people in here and kind of shake it up a little bit and have some fun with it though. So, um, yeah. So, uh, if you're watching out there and you've got an idea or you want to have a topic for a show or want to discuss a question on here, then absolutely let us know. We can get you on here and talk about things. Um, I want to thank my fellow DMs here, Gajira and Nance, of course, and my fellow players. Although again, Dave and I need to actually play and or run
Yeah.
games at some
Yeah,
point there
yeah.
once our schedules allow for it. Absolutely. Um, but anything else, Nance? Anything you want
No,
to throw in there?
no, I think we covered most of
Okay.
everything, right? And we've talked
Awesome.
multiple times
Yeah.
before about other most of these topics just scattered throughout the other parts
Yeah.
of the series.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to come back to it a lot. So well, let's go ahead and wrap things up there. And thank you again. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here, Dave and Nance. Thank you as always for being a
My
part of this.
pleasure.
Um, thank you for the chat for Bertie and Dow there being so talkative and everything else. It's great to see the chat moving along and things coming along there.
Yeah, I
Um,
can't see the
as
chat. I
always,
should have figured that out.
oh, I always have it up on a window there so I can so it's whenever I'm in there I have it up there so I can see what's happening. Um, but anyway, thanks for being part of things. Um, comment below, like and do all the likes and stuff like that to keep things let us know people are watching and caring about stuff. And if you have other ideas for shows, even if you don't want to be on it, you can at least let us know what you want to hear more about, and we'll kind of work that into future topics and future shows. We should be back in 2 weeks, I'm assuming, unless something happens. Um, But again, I want to do a quick shout out to RPG Counterpoint. Go check it out there. Become a writer or just participate and read and make comments on the various articles there. There's a lot of great topics and great information to be found there. So I want to make sure you check that out. But in any case, we'll see you again next time. Drinks are on us and have fun. We'll see you back here at the tavern.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yep. Bye, everybody. See ya.
Thanks.